We're on our way to Australia's nickel heartland. Kambalda, just south of Kalgoorlie in WA's goldfields. This whole town was built on the stuff back in the late 60s, a discovery so exciting it drew a visit from the Prime Minister.
Prime Minister, just how important will this nickel mine be to Australia?
Well, it's an important national asset for a variety of reasons.
And it still is.
It's high-grade nickel, it's really well known, and it compares at an absolute top rate to anywhere else you can go in the world.
Geologist Duncan Shine has been out here searching for the silver metal for the past 6 months on behalf of exploration company Rhiannon Metals. And there's potential for a mining activity to go on here next.
That's the absolute dream for an exploration geologist. We want a discovery. That's why we're all here. If we didn't want a discovery, we would have chosen another path. So that's the fundamental driver for every single one of us. That's what we want. And we want to go to the market, we want to be excited, and we want to announce that we found something.
When they first started digging nickel out of the ground around here in the late 60s, it was mostly used to produce stainless steel. Today, it's seen as an essential mineral in the green energy transition. It's needed in the batteries that power electric vehicles. So you'd think there'd be no better time to be a nickel miner, but that's not the case. In the last few months, 5 WA nickel producers have announced they're either scaling back or going into care and maintenance. Thousands of jobs are on the line, including hundreds in the region. It's because the nickel price has effectively halved in the last year. Nickel has always been volatile. Is this time different?
It is slightly different in that it looks a lot worse than I've seen it in the past. The price has gone down a lot harder and faster than anyone expected. I mean, off 40% in 12 months is quite disastrous if you're a nickel miner. The question really is, will it come back up? And the answer is not for a long time.
The price plunge is due to a global supply glut, primarily coming from Indonesia. Billions of dollars has been tipped into the industry there through foreign investment and government policy.
We got squeezed out.
Locals here at the aptly named Kambalda pub are accustomed to the boom and bust nature of nickel, but they don't want to see people driven out of town by job losses.
I think some of the major gold mines around the area, if they're looking for experienced mining personnel, there's no better time to step up, recruit some of these guys that are doing it tough, because I'm sure that they've got kids in at school and their wives are in town working, and there'll probably be a little bit of nervous tension around.
While Rhiannon's geologists and drillers keep searching in the scorching outback, the company's director has the task of convincing shareholders to stay the course.
There's been a lot of bad news. We're busy at the conference telling investors and potential shareholders why that news shouldn't apply to us.
At this major mining conference in Perth, wheeling and dealing has become a tough slog for those in the nickel game.
We put a lot of money, a lot of investment into the ground, and then we've pretty much, with the change in circumstances this year, we have to change focus a bit now. And pretty much all that money that we've spent, we're not sure what value we're going to get out of it now.
Following months of pressure, the federal government recently placed nickel on the critical mineral list, giving those companies access to a funding pot reserved for projects that are helping the energy transition. For its part, the state government is cutting royalty fees for struggling nickel miners. But the mining lobby is pushing for more. It's calling for so-called production tax credits for producers of critical minerals.
What it does would offer a 10% credit for the cost of production. So essentially, that's provided through a rebate after you pay your tax, but it reduces your cost of production by 10%.
The mining industry does pretty well, especially in this state.
Yep.
Do taxpayers really need to be propping it up?
No, but I'm differentiating between mining and chemical processing. So ultimately, we're not seeking support for the mining operations, we're seeking support for the processing piece. On our own, we're doing very well at turning mines on. We'll continue to do well turning critical mineral mines on, but it's the next step and where you can capture much more value for Australians.
We'll consider all of these measures. We understand that the nickel industry is an important one. We want to provide support. That's why we've listed it as a critical industry, and we will engage, including engagement with the WA Premier here about the way in which we can support this industry.
The federal government is also vowing to ramp up its marketing of Australian nickel as a greener alternative to the cheaper Indonesian product.
What we make is as clean and green as possible through our high ESG and worker safety standards. Now we just need to make the push to make it reflected in the price.
But veteran resources analyst Tim Treadgold is sceptical.
I don't think Tesla or whoever will care where the nickel comes from. They might say they do, but they really don't.
Should governments care?
I just don't think it's an issue that governments have got time or inclination to get involved in. It's a commodity. It's a very basic commodity. And if you start worrying about where everything came from, you'll never do anything.
So it's no one silver bullet. There's not one initiative that's going to tick all boxes. It's a matter of thinking carefully about what are the range of things we can do to support this.
One thing I've known living in the goldfields for nearly 30 years, and particularly Campbell people, they're very upbeat and resilient. They've been through this many times. Most people that live in the town have been here for a long time. They're true Cambodians, and they'll ride this one out.